All right, all. Well, thank you for your patience. Hey, hi, hello. My name is Niger Alim Jules, and I am the Deputy Director of the USAID Donald M. Payne International Development Fellowship Program administered by Howard University. I'd like to first begin by thanking you all for joining us this evening for the Application Technical Assistance webinar. We hope you find the session to be both useful, excuse me, and informative as you look to complete the application for the 2025 fellowship cycle. With that, let's go ahead and hop into it. Before jumping into the application sections, I want to provide a quick overview of USAID's Foreign Service and the Payne Fellowship Program. USAID Foreign Service officers are the core staff of USAID overseas offices called missions, and they provide and shape forward momentum to country and regional programs. USAID Foreign Service officers work on the front lines of some of the most pressing global challenges of our times, including poverty, hunger, injustice, disease, environmental degradation, climate change, conflict, and violent extremism. So if you have a passion for development and being on the front lines of global issues, as previously mentioned, you're definitely in the right place and you should be applying for this fellowship opportunity. This slide shows the USAID Foreign Service career backstops. Again, for those of you listening in via phone, the USAID backstops include program officer, executive officers, financial management officers, agriculture officers, economists, private enterprise officers, contracting officers, engineering officers, environment natural resource officers, population health and nutrition officers, education officers, humanitarian assistant officers, as well as crisis stabilization and governance officers. Those awarded the Payne Fellowship select an intended career backstop upon entry into the fellowship. Please be sure to visit www.paynefellows.org if you have not done so already to learn more about the USAID career backstops prior to submitting your application to the Payne Fellowship Program. The resource that I will be providing to you all via email will also provide some additional information regarding the career backstops and the competencies required for those of you looking to enter into said career backstops. Please note that the fellowship experience culminates with employment in USAID's Foreign Service, so all Payne Fellows have a 5-year service agreement to the U.S. Agency for International Development upon successful completion of graduate school, the fellowship, and Foreign Service entry requirements. So just remember, if you get the fellowship, you get the job. So as such, being in the right place at the right time and applying for the right opportunities, such as the Payne International Development Fellowship Program, comes with certain benefits, including an award of up to $104,000 over 2 years for tuition, fees, living expenses, and summer internships, up to $24,000 per year for tuition and mandatory fees. Please note that some graduate programs do provide additional supplemental financial assistance to Payne Fellows, which helps subsidize the remaining outstanding costs for some of the graduate programs where the Payne Fellowship tuition support funding doesn't meet all of the support for tuition there. Fellows receive an $18,000 living stipend per year. That is a direct issuance at $9,000 per semester. If you're looking at 2 semesters for each year for a 2-year program, so that's $9,000 each term, so 4 times. Up to $10,000 per year towards 2 summer internships, and that includes housing and round-trip transportation. Fellows do a 9-week internship on Capitol Hill, and then a 10-week internship overseas at a USAID mission. The application should focus on development, your academic background, being sure to include a personal statement, expressing your financial need in the statement of financial need, 2 letters of recommendation, as well as exhibiting your community service and leadership experience there. To be eligible for the Payne Fellowship, please note that you must have U.S. citizenship by the application deadline, and you must possess a 3.2 cumulative GPA on a 4.0 scale in order to be eligible, as well as planning to enroll in graduate program for fall 2025 for the 2025 cohort. The deadline is approaching quickly. Please remember that the application deadline is October 24th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the reason you have all joined us this evening and the purpose of the technical assistance session is to first walk you all as applicants and prospective applicants through the online application system. And second, to answer any questions related to the online application or any technical issues using the system. Okay, so when you first create your account, you're taken to the application landing page where you can begin the application, or if you have applied in previous years, you can open the application for the current cycle, and your other applications for prior years will also appear there. So if this isn't your first time applying to the Payne Fellowship, you will probably see the other iterances of your former applications. Be sure that you are selecting the current cycle applications, the only one that you should be able to click and enter and start a new field there. Okay. On this page, you'll see here, when you start the new application, you will get assigned an application ID, and then you'll also see a status. From the status, you can immediately view if your application has been submitted, is still in draft, if it's been submitted, or if it's in the review phase. When you click on the application to begin, the first landing page is where you certify that you're aware of the requirements of the program and that you're telling the truth with regard to your eligibility. Again, ability cumulative point of and your graduate program in fall 2025. Once you certify that, and once you formally submit your application, you'll notice on the side there where it says application status, it'll say final once it's submitted. So there's no need to email us. Note that there will be green check marks on the application as you complete each tab there. This indicates that you have completed all of the required information, i.e. the asterisk information on the page, and it is saved as draft. Please know that as you're working through the application, you absolutely want to be sure that you save your application as draft, as there is no automatic saving. The tabs that are in gray indicate that you still have additional required information to complete. Some of you who may have already noticed the check marks as you're working through the fellowship application, and even have notified your recommenders. The recommender tab will remain grayed out until both recommenders have completed their recommendation of you, meaning they've submitted their rankings and they've also uploaded their letter of recommendation. So you are still able to, and I'll preface this before we continue, you are still able to submit your full application so long as you've entered recommenders information and have initiated the recommender request so they can receive the invite to complete their portion on your behalf. Once the recommenders complete their upload and their rankings there, the next time you go into your application, you'll see a green check mark as well for that section, and then you'll know that they've done their due diligence. You can always go into your application up to the application deadline for those of you who have already submitted as final, to check on the status of the recommenders or to reinitiate said requests. Once I get to the recommender section, I'll speak to if you're having challenges or difficulties, or if your recommenders express there's challenges or difficulties with regards to the recommender section. So again, when you first walk in, it is the certification, the landing page to certify your eligibility. It will show you again the application status, and then again the headers for the green checks for indicating that all of the required information has been submitted for said tab or said section that you're working on. One of the first sections that you're going to head into is the applicant details. Here, this is where your personal statement is located there. It's usually about halfway down in the page. The personal statement, as a reminder, is a maximum of 600 words. Okay, 600 words. So be sure to write your statement in Word or another processing system and to check for grammatical errors and ensure that your text, again, is within that maximum 600 word count there. What's important about the personal statement is that you really want to convey why you need this fellowship program. Why are you interested in a career in the Foreign Service of the U.S. Agency for International Development? And what aspect or what preparedness do you have with regards to graduate school, as it is a graduate fellowship program? So your studies, what is the interest there? What are you looking to pursue in that degree? Once you complete your personal statement, you'll notice that it asks you some other information, which we do have required, about you learning about the program. And again, your confirmation that you are a US citizen and that you are looking to pursue full-time graduate status, et cetera, et cetera. The next section is the education section. Here, it is very important for you to include all institutions that you've attended. Some majors or minors that you may have had, depending upon the school, the program, especially those where you've created your own curriculum, may not appear exactly as you've entered them, and that is okay. What's important here, again, is that you've entered all of the colleges and universities that you've attended. How far back should you go? Well, we require all transcripts from all colleges and universities the applicant has attended for credit. So what does that mean? Where you typically have taken 6 or more credit, which is about 2 courses, including English study abroad. Again, for those of you, just while we're on the subject of transcripts, for those of you who have done study abroad, and if the courses are not listed on the home institution's transcript showing the letter grade, we will require that you please provide the study abroad transcript where you took the courses and and it can show the letter grades, the credit hours, et cetera. And please note that it will absolutely need to be translated in English. We cannot recommend education translating services, but there are a number that you can find so long as you have the official certification document verifying the transcript if it is not in English again, right? Please be sure, again, to upload it any university-generated transcripts. An official transcript would be best. A student copy is acceptable. What is a student copy? A student copy is anything that we essentially term unofficial, right? So that can be a screenshot from your home institution's student portal where it may show your courses, the grades, the credit hours, et cetera, or any information with regards to the grades and the credit hours there in your GPA, which is critical there. We would like to see the GPA, again, should be on that 4.0 scale. For those of you who are attending institutions where they either do not provide GPAs or they do not provide they use a 5.0 scale, or another grading scale there, you will need to work with your university to get a letter from an advisor. Please explain that you're applying to a nationally competitive fellowship opportunity, the Payne Fellowship program, and we do require your transcripts, again, translated in English, and verifying the GPA is at least a 3.2 or higher on a 4.0 scale. So again, if you have not done so already, please start to do that now, because it will matter, and we don't want anything to hold you up with regard to the eligibility review process. If you are selected for an interview, i.e. you've been notified that you are a finalist, we will request that you provide your official transcript. Now, if you're uploading official transcripts to our system, right, that is fine. We will still require all of our finalists to provide us official transcripts. And by official transcripts, these transcripts will need to be ordered from your home institution to our staff, and we will provide information with regards to the mailing address for those of you who cannot provide electronic transcripts, and then an email address for you to send your electronic transcripts, which must be received directly from the school to Howard University paying fellowship staff to verify. That is what we term official transcripts. So you may have copies of your official transcripts to upload to the application. That is great. We absolutely pervert that versus screenshots. Please do that. If you are selected as a finalist, again, you will have to provide the official transcript, and that will need to be sent directly from your home institution to Howard University. If physical, you must send the signed sealed envelope to our staff in advance of your interview. Please note that, okay? And again, electronic transcripts are accepted as well, but must be sent directly from the institution, directly to the Payne Fellowship. And we'll provide that information to the finalists who are selected in December. I'm gonna take a second to just pause really quick and answer a couple of questions before we continue. I see there are two questions here. The first one is, does it matter which master's program we apply to, humanities, etc.? So what I consider a beautiful thing about the Payne Fellowship program is that first and foremost, we don't require, there's no undergraduate degree major requirement, meaning you can come from any background with regards to your undergraduate degree. With regards to your graduate program, so long as you're pursuing a master's degree in an area of relevance to USAID's foreign service. So quickly, since we're, taking a second for questions here, actually, give me one second. It can fall in one of these career tracks there, right? So what exactly does that mean? So wide gambit. Yes, so humanities, if you're looking at what type of humanities though, would be the question, right? USAID backstop coordinators do approve all of the graduate programs for the Payne Fellows. So you will know if said program is applicable for the backstop of your intention, right? If you're looking at health, we do MPHs, other health degrees, so long as they're 2-year full-time, traditionally in person degree programs, business individuals, MBAs, master of accountants, finance, et cetera, again, but they will need to be 2-year full-time programs there, ag degrees, agriculture, economics, engineering degrees, civil engineering, et cetera, urban planning, crisis stabilization and governance is one of the career tracks there. So crisis management or conflict resolution degrees, et cetera. Again, so long as it fits that requirement, 2-year full-time, traditionally in person. So there's a wide breadth of graduate degree programs that we've seen many of our fellows come through, dependent upon the respective career backstop that they're entering into. I hope that answers your question. There's a question in here. I know I'm early, just submitting this while it's on my mind in the personal highlight section, publication skills, et cetera. Do you recommend a bulleted list or a paragraph form? So I'll speak to that again once we get there. That is a great question, and I will touch on that. Well, might as well touch on it now. So just to answer the question, everyone, because I'm that guy. What we recommend is consistency. We cannot advise you how to, lay out your accolades, et cetera. But what we ask for is consistency. So if you start with bullet points, it should be bullet points throughout that piece, right? Don't do bullet points and then you're writing, a narrative in the next section, and then you're back, and then maybe it's bullet points and none of that. Consistency, right? So it is clear for the selection panel members as they're working through your application to read and follow. That'd be the biggest thing. So again, no preference, no specification with regards to, oh, it has to be this way or this format, X, Y, and Z. What's important there is consistency. And what I would also say is, because those sections tend to be a lot smaller with regards to the word count compared to like the personal statement or the statement of financial need. So I think it's around 200 characters or 200 words there. So if you are going to write something, be clear, be concise. But there's no preference there. Okay. There's a question regarding undergraduate GPA. If the undergraduate GPA is a 2.98. So again, we request that applicants give us all of your transcripts where you've taken essentially 6 or more credit hours. If your undergraduate GPA falls below the 3.2 at the home institution, but you do have other credit hours at other like community colleges, et cetera, and you've provided those transcripts as well, our staff will do the review of, again, all of the transcripts. We will go through them and we'll use our GPA calculator to determine if your cumulative GPA between all of the items that you were provided, again, and we require transcripts from every institution where you've taken 6 or more credit hours, meets the 3.2 threshold. So again, there's no escaping, unfortunately, the 3.2 threshold. You must have a cumulative 3.2 GPA there. Okay, there's a question here. I'm a 53-year-old female in a bachelor's degree from the University of Baghdad in Iraq. It's back in 94. Might not be able to provide transcripts. Okay, so what I will say is please email our staff. Please email us at paynefellows@howard.edu if you have any specific transcript questions where you might be concerned or having issues retrieving a transcript from an institution that may no longer be around or servicing degrees, et cetera. So again, I'll drop that in the chat as well in the answer question section in just a moment. But again, if you're having any specific transcript questions, et cetera, please reach out to our staff at paynefellows@howard.edu. Okay. Yes. Oh, the questions are coming in now. I will answer one more question, and then I'm going to get back to the presentation for the sake of time, and then I will tailor back to the questions as they're coming in the Q&A. So please continue to send them. I have one more here. It's going back to the publications. So what can be considered a publication to be listed in the section of the application? Oh, well, anything that you have published, right? So any work that has been published, research, et cetera. If there's something that hasn't been published or but you would like to highlight, right, and you're working on with like faculty, or you have worked on with faculty, but it just hasn't reached publication, et cetera, I would say even, enter the substantive information regarding those projects there. I think Katrina's question was more, excuse me, Katarina's question was more so around the formatting or what is recommended for said section, and like bullet points, paragraphs, X, Y, and Z. And the advice was, again, so long as you're consistent. So if you decide to do bullet points in talking about these publications, these highlights, et cetera, that's fine. If you decide to do write-ups, again, that is fine as well. What's important is that you're being consistent throughout the piece there. Okay. All right, everyone, please continue to drop your questions into the Q&A. I am going to hop back to the presentation. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the employment section is very much self-explanatory. You will have to select the number of jobs that you plan on speaking about from the dropdown in order for the fields to essentially populate. They'll be separated: employment 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. What's important is that you can add any paid, unpaid, voluntary experience that is relevant, right? You want to make sure that your experiences are relevant and that or can speak to either your involvement, and if they can't, I've seen some very, very creative ways to say to show their global mindedness with regards to working at an ice cream shop. So don't fret if you do not have any hard employment or background in international affairs, relations, development. Speak to your employment that you have there. And again, in a lot of the jobs, and especially the customer service facing jobs, right? Your speaking to a wide wealth of individuals, right, who are coming in, your customers. So speak to that and highlight, the interactions between different communities and things like that, I would say. Again, work volunteer experience outside of international affairs is absolutely welcome. Um, so don't worry about that. Be sure that what's important here is that you're highlighting your accomplishments. So if you were team lead or trainer, X, Y, and Z, make sure that you're highlighting those pieces there. For locations outside of the United States, be sure that you are choosing other under the state. Okay, that is very important there. For any work experience done outside the US, be sure that you're selecting other underneath of the state. Dum, dum, the highlight section. So there is a highlight section, obviously, on the Payne Fellowship application. It is not intended to be additional essays, but a place to highlight things that you've done can be a brief list, i.e. the bullet points, right? Or a brief narrative. What's important here is that you're avoiding acronyms because just because you may know what they mean doesn't mean our selection panel knows what those acronyms means for organizations, et cetera. Yes, so moving on. Again, the application, the highlights, again, they should not be additional essays, but a place to highlight the things that you've done. It can be the bullet points. It can be the brief narratives there, right? Couple of sentences. But what's important is that you are being clear, that you're being concise, and that you're being consistent. You only have a 200-word limit for each of those respective sections, so you don't want to run out of characters and the selection panel miss the meaning of some research or something, an award or accolade, et cetera, that you absolutely want them to note, right? Okay, I do see uh, some of the questions coming back in here. I'm going to take a second really quick just to answer. If I have an international internship, should I translate the name to English for the experience section? If, yeah, if you, it would be up to you if the name like can be spelled using the characters on our keyboard. I see no reason why not. What's important is that there's just no acronyms, right? We want to make sure that you're not using ABC as an acronym for said international organization or internship that you've had. Great question, Kyle, thank you for that. Okay, sorry everyone. All right. So again, graduate school. So here's a section we ask about your graduate school plans and give you a space to enter a maximum of around 4 institutions where you may be considering applying or have applied. Okay. Please note that we understand because you apply separately to graduate school from our fellowship program, that you may have more, than one institution, or by the time you submit the application, you might have applied to, 3 others that are priority, or you're like, oh man, these are the institutions I want to go to. It is okay. It is just the section for us to gauge some of the institutions where you're looking at, as well as to see, if we have connections there as well. It always helps our staff with expanding the graduate school program partners to see where are our applicants considering going to school, right? Where you're looking. The anticipated graduate date should reflect a 2-year duration with a late spring graduation, preferably. What does that mean? If you're entering, again, we are recruiting for the 2025 cohort, right, of fellows. So our fellows will begin graduate school in fall 2025. They will complete 2 years from that in spring 2027 and on board with USAID to begin their careers as foreign service officers. So you will need to make sure that the graduate degree program, again, 2-year full-time, traditionally in-person program, right, wraps again late spring 2027 there. That is very, 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 very important. In the degree detail section, you will be asked again when that piece is. So be sure, I cannot stress it enough, that it reflects that requirement, culminating in the conferral of your graduate degree in that late spring. Please note also that the GRE or the GMAT, those are optional. Candidates submitting those items will not have a competitive edge over those who do not submit this optional item. But we do understand that some graduate programs and schools do require the submission of one of the two test pieces there. And if you would like to provide that as well to show your the selection panel, the rigor of your studies, et cetera, that is fine. But again, there is no competitive edge given to those who provide the GRE or the GMAT upload. Okay, I see some of the questions have started to come back in. So I'm going to go ahead and answer here. So there's a question about uploading photos about initiatives for development or the work that you've done, right? No, there's not an area for photo or media upload to the awards or the education or any one of the sections there. It is very important that you keep that to the actual items like your transcripts, your GRE or GMAT if you decide to upload your FAFSA, either your student aid report or the financial aid summary gets an upload. But yes, there's no upload area for media, and as such, media will not be downloaded or reviewed. So if you're going to speak to that initiative or that work that you've done, make sure that you're clear and concise in highlighting it in the highlight section there. Thank you for that question. Okay. For the publications and presentation section, what would go under presentations? A presentation done in schoolwork or more professional, invited as a guest speaker. We leave that up to you to decide what presentations you would like to or publications you would like to enter there. We cannot say yay or nay to it. We can only assess it based off of what the information in the context that you provide for it. So if it is a presentation that you've done and it was for class, be it your final thesis or your dissertation or something like that at a different program, and it was substantive or it relates to international development, right? i.e. you are applying to the USAID International Development Fellowship Program, Payne International Development Fellowship Program. So you should have some interest in the work that they do, right? So the presentation or if the research, et cetera, is if it relates to the work of the Foreign Service and the work of USAID, I would say it would be relative to, include that information. But how you list it, how you explain the context of that is on you. We do not say, oh, it has to be something that you've given in front of 1,000, audience members or only those that are in symposiums, right? Or only work that has been published by a reputable publication place. I don't know. But yes, so we'll leave that on you. What I would advise again, though, is making sure that whatever information that you do decide to share under that piece, that it does speak to, again, your interest in this type of work and the work that USAID does. Does that make sense? Well, and I know I can't hear you, but I hope that makes sense. And if it does not, and you have another follow-up, please feel free. Another question here. You support application and acceptance does your support our application and acceptance to graduate program? I'm not entirely too sure I understand the question here. It's a question regarding to support the application and acceptance to the graduate program. So the Payne Fellowship Program, going back to the earlier slide, we do provide up to $104,000 over 2 years in the support of our fellows to pursue their graduate degree, take 2 internships, 1 domestic in Washington, D.C., and the other overseas, before they onboard and start their careers, their 5-year service agreement, i.e. their careers with USAID and USAID's Foreign Service. What that support looks like, again, is $24,000 for each year of graduate school for direct tuition and mandatory fee support. So that's going straight to your graduate school or your program there when they invoice the Payne Fellowship. And we will pay up to $24,000 each year, no more than that, um, um, towards your tuition and mandatory fees. We will also give you, as the fellow, a direct stipend of $18,000. So that $18,000 is broken out at $9,000 per term. And usually there are some fellows who go to like, what is it, quarter systems, et cetera. So this is a little wonky. They only get paid twice a year. Still, so you get $9,000 in August and you get $9,000 going into January. And then the next year you get your 9,000 and then in August, and then your 9,000 in your final semester going into January there. So I hope that provides a little bit of background with regard to the support that our fellowship provides fellows through graduate school. Okay, is there any benefit here to listing more programs than less? And by programs, I'm assuming is it the graduate programs or is it the, well, I'll speak to both. So if it's a benefit of listing more graduate programs than just one or two, no, there isn't. Again, this section is for us to just try to understand where you're looking and what programs you're looking to apply to, right? We want to know that you have intentions, again, because you must have, if you are awarded the fellowship, right, and our selection process takes place in January, if you are awarded the fellowship, we start the onboarding in February. And so part of the onboarding is now for you to provide us the acceptance letters and financial information from the schools that you intend on going to. So we will need that information to provide to USAID backstop coordinators who verifies all Payne Fellows academic programs prior to confirming that the program prior to confirming their backstops. So you must declare a backstop when you come into the Payne Fellowship, and we have to verify your graduate school program. So you should already be getting your acceptances back in that February to April time frame, so that way we can collect that information, get it over to our colleagues at USAID, and have it approved. So with regards to the application here, if you list all the programs that you're essentially looking at, there's no, oh, because this person's looking at 5, it makes them look good, or they're looking at these 5, Ivy League programs. No. We just want to, gauge where you're going to make sure that you are, again, applying to graduate school and looking at graduate programs separately while you're going through our process, because you will need to, the Payne Fellowship does not mean automatic entrance into graduate programs, right? You still need to apply to them in those schools to make those determinations. So it's important that you're still adhering to the deadlines and things like that. So just, again, for us to gauge and to make sure that you, as a prospective applicant, and hopefully, fingers crossed, future finalist and fellow, are applying and looking at graduate schools. Hope that answers your question. Here's a very good question. Thank you, John, for this. Does having another or other master's degree disqualify you from being accepted into the Payne Fellowship? No, not at all, actually. It does not disqualify you from being awarded the Payne Fellowship. There have been others who have had master's degrees and applied to the fellowship program and were awarded the fellowship program and then received their second master's. Now, right? What is important to note here is that the second master's must absolutely be in an area, again, relevant to USAID's Foreign Service, but it cannot be in the same background. That's the horrible choice of word. It cannot be in the same area, the same background as the first master's. So, for instance, if you're doing business, right? You got your MBA, right? And your business down. You can't go back and get like another MBA, of course. It should be something different if you want to get like a master's of finance, right? Or a master's of business and global studies or something. I don't know. Something, it cannot just be, oh, I'm going back to get, to improve upon, get the next version of environmental sciences. Got a master's in environmental sciences. Now I'm getting one in environmental sciences and resources. No, or two MPHs or, nothing like that. So yes, you can apply if you do have a master's degree already. Another important thing to note about that is that if you should already possess the master's degree program, or you should be finishing your master's degree program, i.e. graduating in full before late spring, so like in May, essentially completing your master's degree program there, because you will again have to start this program in your second master's beginning in fall 2025, i.e. August 2025. So again, very important to know for those who are currently matriculating through master's programs, be it 1 year and you're like, oh, wow, I want to, get this fellowship, et cetera. You will have to complete your degree first. So again, if the graduation timeline for you is not May 2025, right, you will run into the issue of you not being eligible for the fellowship at this time until you actually complete your graduate degree. If you've already completed the graduate degree and you're applying to the fellowship for your second graduate degree, you're more than welcome to submit your application. And yes, yeah, that's fine. How can we guarantee our acceptance to the graduate school? Is there any way to support our acceptance? So we can't guarantee your acceptance to graduate school on the Payne Fellowship side. Again, all of our fellows apply to graduate school separately from the fellowship program. So you should already be looking to apply to graduate school and applying to schools of your interests, et cetera, and that you intended to go upon. Yeah, that is the very important piece about that, because again, no fellow gets an automatic into any graduate institution. Let me make that very clear. The fellows still have to apply to said school, and they still have to meet the program or the school's admission or entry requirements there. And those determinations are done dependent upon the institution and the academic program that you're applying to. There is no guarantee of your acceptance to a graduate school that I can say, oh, you will be X, Y, and Z. What I'm telling and what we're advising, because the fellowship is here to support individuals looking to, again, pursue their graduate degrees, right? But cannot fund it, right? You must be, looking to apply and getting into graduate programs. I would say absolutely apply to more than one school, for sure, right? You don't want all your eggs in one basket when it comes to programs, and especially if you're applying for this type of opportunity, right? Again, our requirement is that you must be looking to be at a US-based institution, 2-year full-time traditional master's program. You can take our funding to any US-based institution. So we leave that on you and the programs that you find, right? But making sure that, you apply in whatever schools you're looking to apply to, be it in the application. If you know what those are, let us know what those are. We would like to know, and verifying that you will be completing the degree within 2 years, right? Because we want to make sure that whatever programs you're looking at, they are meeting the requirement of the fellowship, 2-year full-time, traditionally in person. You should be graduating by late May 2027. With regards to support of your acceptance, so let's say if you are awarded the fellowship and you become a Payne Fellow, right, and you're still waiting to hear back from the institutions that you've already applied to, because again, you should be looking at programs now. Every school has different program deadlines. Something that you have to monitor. That is not what our staff monitors. If we monitor when you say, hey, I've gotten into this program and this is the program I'd like to make sure that it fits this backstop, and will Payne pay for it, and we verify it and we say, okay, the fellow's already gotten in. The backstop coordinator says this looks good. It's aligned to the competencies of X, Y, and Z backstop. And it's a US-based institution, so we know we can provide the financial support on your behalf to said school, right? And for that, we need you to already be applying to the graduate schools there. So on the separate side of that, once you're awarded the fellowship, and if you're awarded the fellowship, notify your institution that you are a Payne Fellow. We cannot say, hey, school, admit them because they're coming, but we do, you can send them your award notification where it provides the breakdown and the fact that you will be gainfully employed with the U.S. Agency for International Development on the back end there. But it is very important that you are looking at schools, that you're applying to schools, and that you're adhering and meeting their admission criteria and their deadlines. Okay, well, the students get to keep the tuition money that is not used by the school. So no, and the reason why is because the students don't see any of the tuition money, the school sees the tuition money. The Payne Fellowship gets invoiced directly by the institution. So we work with your institution, we send them a notice that we are supporting you up to $24,000 each academic year. And whatever bill that the school invoice us is what we will pay up to that $24,000 piece. Any other funds belong to the U.S. government. This is a grant program there. So those tuition funds are for tuition support. Those are not monies that are given to fellows. What is given to fellows, i.e. the $18,000 per academic year. So considering you're looking for 2 academic years for a 2-year full-time traditionally in-person program, at $9,000 each semester, with the understanding that there's typically 2 semesters in an academic year. So fall semester, you get your 9,000. Entering spring semester, you get your second 9,000. Those on quarter, you're still getting them at the same time. Beginning of August, December, January, you're getting your second one. And then, of course, we do provide stipends to our fellows during the summer, so they have money in their pocket for their summer internships, the one domestic and the one overseas. Hope that answers your question there. Would it make sense to notify the graduate programs that we intend to apply to the Payne Fellowship, or that we're Payne Fellowship applicants, even though we may not be selected as fellows at the time of the application submission? It's a great question. That I will leave that on you if you would like to notify the institutions. I personally would advise possibly waiting until you've at least been notified that you are a finalist for the Payne Fellowship program. Again, it is a nationally competitive fellowship program, and we do only select 60 finalists to invite to interview for up to 30 slots for the 2025 cohort, right? So at the finalist stage, there's been plenty of times where finalists have reached out to their institutions and let them know that they're Payne finalists. And also those of you who have already received the graduate program partner offer list. In some cases, some of the institutions have agreed to offer some sort of aid or award, to Payne finalists who apply and are admitted to their programs. Not all schools, not all programs. Every institution provides their own support, and we publicize said offers from our graduate program partners. So there is no guarantee that finalists, when they notify institution, is going to get any additional aid, et cetera, or get an into said academic program. But it has happened in some cases. So I would say absolutely wait until the notification of the finalist status, if you do want to notify the graduate schools that you've applied to, that you are applying to this program. Okay, how can we guarantee our acceptance at the graduate degree? I think I just answered that piece. We cannot guarantee your acceptance. We know that you must apply to graduate school separately from our graduate fellowship program, right? And you can't guarantee that you're going to receive this award as well, right? You have to get through the application process and apply in the selections process, right? So same thing with graduate school. What we're saying here is that you must be applying to graduate school, right? And that you should be, if you are awarded the fellowship program, we will ask you for the schools that you've applied to, the ones that you've been admitted to, obviously, those letters where you're intending to enroll, right? So if you're intending to enroll, if you get accepted to 2 institutions and you are really thinking about one over the other, thinking about one more strongly than the other, that'll be the award letter, et cetera, that excuse me, the acceptance letter that our program would ask you for, and so we can pass it on to our colleagues and start the degree academic program verification process. Okay, how many people get accepted into each cohort program? That's a very good question. So at present, we are recruiting up to 30 Payne Fellows for the 2025 cycle. The Payne Fellowship received a 100% increase going into the 2023 fellowship cycle year. So our 2023 cohort was our first cohort of 30, up from 15 in 2022. And our 2024 cohort, who've just started their first year of graduate school this fall, is our second cohort of 30 fellows. So again, moving into the 2025 cohort, we are looking at the up to 30, to awarding the 30 fellows there. Which comes first, the acceptance of the fellowship or the acceptance of the graduate program? Again, you apply separately to both of these things. So what I can only speak to is that the fellowship selections happen in January, late January. So that is when fellows will be notified, but you should be applying to graduate school, because depending upon the program that you're applying to and the school that you're applying to, they all have different deadlines. And we cannot tell you, what program or what deadline X, Y, and Z. No. So you're applying to this opportunity separately from graduate schools, but you should be looking and applying to graduate school and graduate programs at present, depending upon the programs that you are interested in, right? So that would be the answer to that. If you have any more questions regarding the graduate school, the graduate programs, please be sure to email paynefellows@howard.edu, and we can circle back around our staff and answer those questions there. What happens when a fellow doesn't finish their graduate program within the 2-year time frame? So all fellows are required to complete their graduate program within the 2-year required time frame, and it's because, again, we will be providing professional development and internships throughout this experience, and our fellows have to onboard with USAID's foreign service. In the event that there is an individual issue with regards to the fellow, i.e. extenuating circumstance with regards to health, death, etc., we will work with you, and our colleagues at USAID will work with the fellow. If it's with regards to academic performance, however, that is a different story, and we also, again, would be working with the fellow and USAID to discuss next steps in those cases. Okay, will having a full-time job be a problem for those applying for this program? So we've had individuals who were coming from full-time employment and then started the fellowship program. What's important to note here is that this is a full-time fellowship. So what does that mean? Your summer, the first summer when you're awarded the fellowship, our fellows come to Washington, D.C. late May, usually right around Memorial Day, right after Memorial Day, like that week, honestly. And that starts the fellowship experience. You have a 1 week full-time, so about, we're 8 hours a day, going through orientation and working with our USAID colleagues, at their headquarters, going through orientation there. And then you start your full-time internship on Capitol Hill in either the Senate, the House, or on one of the committees there. So that will be your full-time job during the summer. And then you begin your graduate school full-time. Again, all of our fellows have to be enrolled in graduate school full-time. You must take a full-time load. You cannot go half the time, X, Y, and Z. You will fall out of compliance there. And again, that will be a conversation that we will have with the fellow and our USAID colleagues to discuss next steps. If you intend on keeping your full-time, if you're working full-time professional and you're working virtually, right, or can do your job virtually, I think it will be a lot. I won't say no, but the biggest piece here is that you will also be signing. So all of our fellows when they're awarded this fellowship, because again, if you get the fellowship, you get the job. And I know we're over time, everyone, and I do have quite a few slides to get through as well, but I am going to answer these questions because they're very good, and I think it's very important for the larger group. What was I saying? Yes. What's important to note is that if you get the fellowship, again, you get the job, right? So all of our fellows do sign employment contracts with USAID and agreements with Howard University with regards to the graduate fellowship component at the start of the fellowship. So when you're notified of the award, we will send out, start the onboarding process. And part of that onboarding process is you getting a contract. And before you sign that contract, you have to sit in, we'll do a virtual session. Our colleagues at USAID will walk you through the contract, the expectations, the meetings, X, Y, and Z, so that way you can take it and get it notarized and signed. But you are signing an employment contract with the United States Agency for International Development. So it is a full-time piece here. So just heads up with that, because I'm not sure if your employment has a non-compete, et cetera, or what that looks like, or if you're working for a government agency, X, Y, and Z, or contracted to. So different stipulations there. So great question. Please email paynefellows@howard.edu if you want to get into the weeds of that piece as well, and have more specific questions, I'd say. Have some of the Payne Fellows had to take out additional loans or seek additional external funding for living expenses, especially if their graduate school is in a city like New York City or DC? That's a great question. And yes, some have, depending upon the programs that they've decided that they've wanted to go to, right? So there, again, this is why you can take our funding anywhere. That's how I'll lead with that. You can take our funding anywhere with regards to U.S. Institutions and U.S. based institutions. Excuse me, the caveat. Now, we do not control if you're going to a school and the tuition per year is $80,000 for the MPA or MPP program, and it's in those are things that you would be deciding, but just know that you will be coming with the support of $24,000 towards tuition and mandatory fees. And then we will be giving you an additional $18,000 per academic year there. So if you decide to spend that on your tuition or those fees there in areas, et cetera, then, that is a decision that you will make, or if you decide to go to a more affordable program or school, or, again, you can take the funding anywhere, but you are responsible for the remaining gap where the Payne Fellowship, of course, will not, exceed, again, the $24,000 per academic year for tuition mandatory fees. And again, we will not exceed giving you the $18,000 per year for your direct living stipend that we will issue to you, right? So yes, to answer your question, yes, they have, some have taken out loans or sought additional scholarships, funding, things like that. Again, working with the institution, even if they're not a partner of the Payne Fellowship program, right? And informing them that you are a Payne Fellow, and seeing if they have any academic or programmatic or department scholarships to give you, because again, you are a Payne Fellow. Again, that would be at the discretion of the academic program or the school. There again are institutions that have agreed to offer additional supplemental funding to the support of Payne Fellows if they apply and are admitted to their academic programs. It does not cover, it may not cover what you're directly looking to go to school for. But if the program is something that you're interested in, et cetera, we definitely, encourage you to apply to one of our partner program schools as well. Okay. How long is the summer internship in Washington, D.C.? So all in, including the 1 week internship experience and then the 9 week, right? There it is, the 9 week congressional internship experience, 10 weeks total. So 10 week experience there. And if you're going to school in DC, then I'm assuming you would stay. And if you're not, then we would fly you back to your permanent residence or to your school address. Okay, last question here, and then I'll get back to the presentation for those of you who can stay on. What are some graduate majors that are relevant for the program officer backstop? Oh, wow. Geez, there's a gambit. Policy, development degrees, public administration. There's a gambit. The program officers are some of the real champions, I would say, who help across again a lot of the different technical programs as well. So there's a gambit. I believe after once the webinar formally wraps, again, I will be sending an email with the backstop resource, which provides breakouts for agriculture program officer, executive officer, da 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 da. And it speaks to the competencies and some of the skill sets. And then also, I believe some of them have included some relative graduate degrees that others who are in the backstop have either pursued or have gotten. So you'll receive that this evening after this call. All right. Thank you all for the phenomenal questions. All right. Moving on. I'm sure I'm going to get quite a few here of the financial information. So before I begin, what's important to note is that FAFSA did switch the whole applying for federal financial aid process. And they have gotten rid of what was historically and formerly known as the student aid report. For those of you who are current students and who have student aid reports from the last academic year, or the last academic year, i.e. for this year, because you've applied last year, right, for it in advance before the changes were made, it is okay. You're fine. Please use your student aid report. We will accept the student aid reports. Again, the older version, student aid report. This is why you see it in our application. It may be asking questions speaking to the student aid report and not the newer version, the financial aid summary. That's okay. Tell you why it's okay. It's okay because those who have the student aid report, again, you're still uploading that document and you can answer the questions again, using the information on your student aid report. For those of you who are who have the newer version, the financial aid summary, right? And don't have an EFC, an expected family contribution, but have a student aid index number. That number is where you will put it for where we ask for the expected family contribution, the EFC, et cetera. The application was live before the change happened. So that is why the language is speaking to the student aid report there. For those of you who have the financial aid summary, a lot of the questions or the asterisk questions, i.e. net worth, this, that information, et cetera, most likely will not be on the financial aid summary, if I'm not mistaken. Please enter the asterisk questions, right, to the best of your ability. Paying staff cannot advise you where to pull the data from to complete the sections. We can advise that applicants provide the most complete and accurate answers via the information that you have available for said questions. Does that make sense? So again, if you have this information from some of your documents, et cetera, whatever documents they are, answer them. And again, this is specifically for those who have been generated the financial aid summary and not the student aid report, again, due to the switch. Answer the asterisk questions to the best of your ability with the information that you have available. Okay? You are still required to upload the FAFSA financial aid summary, which will be reviewed by the application review panel. And same thing for those with the student aid report, the older version of the student aid report. For those of you who have been removed from education, i.e. you're a professional, you've been out of undergrad for 3 to 10 years or whatever have you, and you're looking at applying to this graduate fellowship program, yes, you too will have to go to studentaid.gov and start a student aid report there, excuse me, submit your FAFSA to get a financial aid summary report generated. Do not wait to do that piece. Again, all of the application sections should be complete and submitted as final by the application deadline, October 24th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So again, even if you're an alum and it's been some years since you've been in school, please go to studentaid.gov. Please complete the FAFSA. You will have to upload your financial aid summary and still complete the financial aid section there. And I cannot stress this enough, everyone, for those of you, especially with the financial aid summary, please complete that section, the asterisk, i.e. the one with the red stars next to the respective questions, to the best of your ability. Paying staff cannot advise you where to pull your data from to complete that section. We can advise you to provide the most complete and accurate answers via the information available to you for those questions, okay? In this section as well, you will find the financial needs statement. This is very important. It is one of those asterisk required sections. And what's important to note here is that in a statement of 400 words or less, that you should be communicating your need for financial support for graduate school. Your need for financial support for graduate school and what the numbers can't tell, i.e. whatever numbers that are uploaded on that you're reporting via the asterisk section or in the rest of the financial section, or what is on the student aid report if you have the older version, or the financial aid summary if you're using the newer version, okay? So again, the 400-word financial needs statement should really be conveying your need for financial support and what the numbers can't tell, okay? Essentially, if it may show some of you, I don't know anyone's individual situation, may show that that your family might be very affluent or very wealthy, but they may not be supporting you for graduate school. Vice versa. It may show that your family may not have been affluent or very wealthy at all, but you you know you're they may have investments with regards to retirement, right? Or they may have, or you may have received merit-based scholarships because of the fact that your family couldn't support or provide financial support for undergraduate experience, right? So again, use that section to convey what the numbers can't tell, or to communicate clearly your expressed need for financial support for graduate school. Again, it is a brief narrative. You only have 400 words. You don't have 600, but it is a required portion, and the selection panel does review this financial section, as this is a need-based fellowship opportunity. So you should have expressed financial need for the support and continuance of your education. Okay, I'm going to take a second just to pause for those who are still here. I do see we have a couple of questions. You're very welcome. This is why I'm here. Question here, would you say it is not advisable to apply for this program if we can't stay in DC for a 10-week internship, or if we can't take 10 weeks off from our current employment? Yes, that is exactly what I would say. If you cannot commit full time to the domestic internship, or the full time for the overseas internship, especially that, because all of our fellows do receive TS clearance and medical clearance through the Department of State. They're required to have that before we can send you to a U.S. embassy and work, which is what the overseas internship, that 10-week experience is the first experience that you'll have to see what your career within your backstop as a foreign service officer will actually be. So if those two commitments especially are going to be complicated or hard and there's a need for you to continue full-time employment, I would say hold off on applying to this fellowship first, because again, you are signing a contract agreeing to said terms and said experiences full-time. Thank you for that question. Okay. All right. Whew. Give me a second. All right. So For the recommenders section, be sure that you have the correct preferred contact information for the intended recommender. Okay, it's very important. Want to make sure that there's no misspellings in the email, especially because they will receive a unique email inviting them to complete the recommendation on your behalf and to upload their letter of recommendation. There are two things that they'll have to do. Again, they'll have to upload their letter of recommendation, and they'll be asked to, complete a little questionnaire with some rankings with regards to you and your performance. So you'll receive a notification on your screen when the request has been initiated to your recommender. We advise that you first enter all the intended recommenders. You get a space for two. Enter both information and then save your application as a draft. So enter both of your recommenders' informations, names, title, email, address, telephone number, and then save your application as a draft, okay? Please note that recommenders will have 2 weeks to access the link once you have initiated it via the Payne application portal. After that time, you will need to reinitiate the request to your recommender if they have not accessed the portal to submit your recommendation. If your recommenders indicate that they have not received their letter of recommendation request link, please have them check their spam or junk folders first before reinitiating the request. If the link still was not received after reinitiating, please have your recommenders email paynefellows@howard.edu, and our staff will provide the alternate ranking form required with instructions for them to complete and return the form with their official letter of recommendation for our staff to upload. So we cannot accept any ranking forms or letters of recommendation from you, the applicant, at all. If your recommender is having issue and you've reinitiated several times, you tried their personal email address, because 9 times out of 10, it's usually the university's firewall or the organization's firewall that may be blocking them. So using a Gmail or Yahoo, or like what am I saying? Their personal email address tends to work better. But even after that, if you try to troubleshoot that way, if it still isn't working, have them email paynefellows@howard.edu. It is very important that they indicate that they're having issues submitting the letter of recommendation. We will ask for the applicant's name. So whatever name that you have applied under in the system, please make sure that your recommender has that same name, not a nickname, because the nicknames will not appear unless you use the nickname as your first name on the application piece. So whatever name you've applying under, make sure your recommender has that. So that way, if they do have issues and they're reaching out, we can pull up the application, we can do some back-end troubleshooting ourselves, and then provide them the alternate ranking form and the instructions for them to complete and return it directly to our staff so we can upload said piece. If we are required to assist in that capacity because of the ranking form link not being received, right, and there still being issues, once the letter of recommendation is uploaded, we will do an administrative upload. We'll attach it to your application, so there will be no additional work that have to be done on your behalf. We will send a confirmation to the recommender who provided the letter of recommendation to us, okay? Reason why is because we're confirmed that we have receipt of it and that we've attached it to the applicant's application. You all will still be able to see if, to log into your application, and you'll be able to see if one of the recommenders, when you go to your recommenders tab, oh, one is complete, I'm still waiting for the other one, so you'll be able to check your status. That's the reason why we're empowering you to use the system to check the status. Be sure, again, all of your materials are in before the application deadline. My advice would be 1 week before the application deadline, you reach out to you check your status first to see if your letters of recommendation are missing. And if they are missing, you reach out to you reinitiate the request and reach out to your recommenders directly. Okay? And get them to buy in and to submit as soon as possible. Okay. Okay. The last section that we have is the uploaded material section. Again, there are some items that are asterisk, which means that you are absolutely required to upload them. Our preference as staff is for you to upload via items in PDF. We do accept JPEG, PNG for those, if you have to take the picture, but it is highly, highly, highly recommended that you are uploading PDF documents to the application. They are easily viewable, and it comes across a lot clearer and crisper for the selection panel as they're working through the materials. Again, remember that the transcripts and proof of citizenship are required. Unofficial transcripts are okay. You want to be sure to check the size and the name of the files as well. You don't want them to be too big. We do have naming mechanisms off to the side there. That is our preference. Please name your files following the naming conventions as instructed in the upload section there. Be sure that your photos are clear for your, and this will be your passport photos or your photos of your birth certificates or certificates of naturalizations there. You want to make sure that those pieces are very clear. If you're unsure how to combine files into a PDF, because again, we do require all your transcripts, right? There are plenty of websites that allow you to combine those files for free. Simply do a Google search for combined PDFs for free there, and you can use a number of those pieces if you do not already own a software. It is very important that though all of the transcripts are included and that they are in one combined PDF though. Again, Paine staff cannot make any recommendations on which website to use, but they are all pretty much the same and very much straightforward. The most important piece is just making sure that all of your transcripts, all of the documents that you're uploading, be it the transcripts, if there's any translated that are not in English, the conversion, the translation and certification certifying this is what it says, X, Y, and Z from a reputable company. We will verify that. It cannot be translated by your aunt because she speaks the language. Does that make sense? So please do your search now if this would be applicable for you. All right. Getting here, I want to check for questions. Okay, all right, we're doing good then. Tips and suggestions. So uploading files, PDFs, again, are most helpful and useful. Combine your multiple documents, i.e. your transcripts, by scanning. There are also, oh yeah, I completely forgot, smartphone apps for that. I believe if you have an iPhone, you can now scan into notes and things. So you should, I think it combines it as well. Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but yes, there are apps in free software, etc. for that piece. The file name should be simple, no apostrophes, commas, or characters. When in doubt, keep it simple, such as first name, last name, transcript. We love that. I think that's actually the suggestion naming convention we have on the application portal. Please be sure to complete your personal statement in a Word document first to check for any grammatical errors and to ensure the 600 word count. Paragraph and space formatting will not look the same in the application. So you can type it up. You might have justified it in a Word document, and when you copy and paste it over, it looks all wonky. It's okay. Just make sure what's important is that the 600 words and that it is that is grammatically correct. Your letters of recommendation, if the recommender doesn't receive the email notification, you can forward on the copy of the email you received, because you will, oh, forgot to mention that, you will receive a copy. So when you initiate the recommender's request, you will also receive said request. If they say, oh, I didn't get it, go to your email and you can forward the one for said individual, because it will still be their unique link. And if they got it, well, once they get it that way, and they verified, and then as long as they're having no issues getting into it, then they won't need to email us. If they're having any issues getting into it still, have your recommender email us directly. And again, we have the alternative form and information to provide for them so we can get that squared away. Both letters of recommendation must be submitted by October 24th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. for your application to be complete. Okay, so be sure, even those of you who have already submitted as final, because you are allowed to submit as final without the letters of recommendation, because we understand they have a separate backend process that they have to do to come in and complete it. But just note that after October 24th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 12 a.m. 25th, they will not be able to get into that system. We will not accept the system was not going to accept the letters of recommendation, which will mean that your application will be missing 2 required items, which won't bode well for your overall success. Okay, so it's on you to make sure that you follow up with your recommender. You can change your recommender information at any time. Now, if you change your recommender's information and you initiate a request to the new recommender, and the old recommender is trying to upload a letter recommendation, their email Payne Fellowship, we will push them back to you to have that hard conversation. We will check the system, and we will see if their name is in there. And if their name is not in there, even if they give us the ranking form in the letter of recommendation, we cannot upload it to your your application, because you removed them from the application and you've initiated a new request for the new recommender. So hopefully the new recommender will be faster than the older recommender in getting the materials uploaded before the application deadline. But in any event, if we notice that as staff, if the original or the older recommender reaches out to us, we will thank them and let them know to please circle back out to you, as we do not see, that they're not on the application there. So you will have to have that hard conversation with them. So if you do change your recommender, because you are allowed to, right? We understand that some individuals are just not responsive, or say they'll be responsive and then don't follow through, or might have gotten too many things on their plate, which, it's fine. Again, doing your due diligence and following up with them, right? If you have to change your recommender. What's important is that you have 2 reputable recommenders who can speak to your preparedness for graduate school, your interest in a career with USAID's Foreign Service, and again, like your interest in development, et cetera, right? And the work that you've done with them. Make sure your documents are legible and your name is visible. It's very important. So any documents that you provide for us that we can see your name, that includes, so if you are providing unofficial transcripts and screenshots, we understand that in some cases, as you're doing those screenshots, your name may not be on every web page, right? And especially from the student portal. What's important for us is that we see the URL of the institution. We need to see the web URL of the screenshot there. So if it's just a screenshot and it just shows grades and the GPA X, Y, and Z, we're going to question that, and we're going to ask you to provide the official transcripts to us. And we'll ask that in a very quick turnaround, because we have a very short time to review all of the to get through all of the applications and provide them to our application review panel to select the finalists. So again, if you're doing screenshots, et cetera, or saving as PDFs, if you're doing save as PDF from your student portal, your grades in your GPA, that's fine. What's important is that the URL is showing if your name is not showing on the page or in the combined document there. Okay. Let me see here. I do see I have a question. I want to stop. If my academic recommender is no longer at the university, is it okay to still use them for the academic recommendation? Absolutely. Absolutely, Kyle. That's a great question. Thank you for that. Yes. So we understand that faculty move on and to other endeavors, other institutions, right? And if you can find said faculty and they're willing to write you the letter of recommendation, it's absolutely fine. That's fine. It's your faculty recommender. You've taken a course with them, X, Y, and Z, right? If you can't, our advice is for, and especially for those alum who are out, 3 to 5 years outside of the university experience, undergraduate experience, your current supervisor or somebody else who can really, again, the most important thing with the recommenders is that they're speaking to, one, they need to know you. Don't go for a name grab. So just because he's the dean or the president of the university or the program or the organization, and he's writing you this generic, copy paste type of AI recommendation, that it's not going to bode well for your overall success. Remember, you are applying to a nationally competitive fellowship opportunity. Okay. So you want to make sure that the individual knows you and can speak to, again, your preparedness for graduate school, your interest in a career with USAID's Foreign Service, and your interest, I keep drawing a blank, your interest in development. That'll be what's most important about the recommenders. So thank you for that, Kyle. All right. I promise you all I'm almost done. Application checklist. All right. So be sure the U.S. citizen question is checked yes. As a reminder, you must be a U.S. citizen by the application deadline, October 24th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in order to qualify for the Payne Fellowship Program. Your educational history should, your statement of interest and financial statement, please be sure to proofread it. The academic and career highlights, please be sure to add them and make sure that the formatting or how you add them, right, you're consistent. So in those respective sections, so in the highlights, if you're using bullet points, you're using bullet points. If you're using short narrative text, then you're using short narrative text throughout. Your educational history should reflect what is on your transcript. If you've attended more than one institution, your educational history should include more than one institution. Okay, so your community colleges should also be included in the educational history. So don't just stop at your home institution, i.e. the school where you've gotten your bachelor's degree, especially if you went to 2 community colleges or 1 community college or another international institution before. Everything should match. It should be consistent there. We want a complete history, academic education history record of you. Transcripts from every institution that you attended. So again, if you're going to provide those transcripts, we're expecting to see them in the educational history section as well, those schools, okay? And again, that's transcripts for 6 or more credits, okay? So if you receive credit from an institution, plan on submitting the transcript. That's just a rule of thumb. If you have to think about it, I'm not sure if I have to provide this transcript, provide it. That'd be what I would say. If the transfer credit is on your current institution's transcript, but does not have a grade associated with it, i.e. it just says study abroad, spring semester, or studied abroad passed or something like that, we will need you to submit a transcript from that study abroad institution or from that institution overseas or where that gap in that semester is, showing the letter grades there. If the transcript has the transfer credits and the grades on it, so you studied abroad overseas and it says study abroad Paris, and grade A, grade B, 3 credits or whatever, how many credits, that's great. You will not need to provide the transcript from the Paris institution, the French institution. We will contact you if we have any questions or we see any credit that is unaccounted for. We will contact you to submit a transcript for those courses. Just heads up, okay? And you will have about a 48-hour turnaround time to provide those items to us. So again, review your transcript. If you're missing any grades, if you have to reach out to those institutions now, get them all in one place, combine them in one PDF to be sure to upload. Proof of citizenship can include a copy of your birth certificate or a copy of your passport photo or your certificate of naturalization citizenship, if for those of you who are new citizens. A driver's license, a social security card, a military ID will not count. Do not upload those items. Do not upload those items. Again, I will repeat that. A driver's license, a social security card, a certificate of live birth, okay, and military ID will not count as proof of citizenship. What will count of proof of citizenship includes a birth certificate. It's different. A copy of your passport photo, right? The full passport, showing the expiration date, and it cannot be expired. Make sure that your passport is not expired if you're uploading the passport as your proof of citizenship. Or for those who are new citizens, certificate of naturalization or citizenship, okay? Please note, we do need the 2 letters of recommendation. Again, we talked at length about the recommenders. Your application will not be considered complete until we receive both of your letters of recommendation. You're responsible for sending those updates and keeping track of where your recommenders are in this process of submitting. So Hopefully you have a well-off enough relationship with your recommenders, so you can, make sure that, they're communicating as well when they're submitting said pieces. I'm going to take a second to pause for a couple of questions. Okay, so first question here. Should study abroad institutions which are on my main undergraduate transcript list them in the educational history section? Yes, 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 please. Absolutely. There's an institution you attended. If it's on the transcript and we don't see it on the education history, we're going to say two don't match up. And because it is a separate institution from your home institution, yes, please list it. Great question. Thank you for that. Question here. I have received credits towards my bachelor's degree from high school through a college program for high school students. Do I need to submit that transcript? It was more than 6 credits. So it's a very good question. I too was a dual enrolled student. And so we understand that a lot of high schools and a lot of school districts in some cases now provide dual enrollment with community college or other four-year institutions. If those credits were transferred into your home institution in the grades, again, so it'd be applicable for you, right? So if it's from a community college and you receive dual enroll credit or another four-year institution when you were in high school, right? And your current institution transferred those credits in, the grades need to show there. If the grades don't show there, you know what I'm going to say? I need your transcript because you actually, you attended a real institution, accredited institution, most likely be a community college or four-year, prior to transferring those credits into your home institution, right? If it is IB credit for those college, I also had IB or AP credit as well. If you're AP credit or IB, International Baccalaureate credit recipient through high school and through those testings, we do not require those test scores, those pieces. No. Even if those are, you're getting college credit for them from the home institution, we don't require those pieces for AP or IB testing or scores or credits that were transferred in. We do require it for those who were duly enrolled in high school, right? So if you ended up getting like your associate's degree, and then transfer those pieces into your home institution to finish up so you can get your bachelor's, absolutely we will need that transcript. If the grades, again, if your current institution where you're receiving the bachelor's does not show the grades, the letter grades, excuse me, in the credit hours that were transferred in. So if the grades and stuff are shown, the letter grades, the courses and the credit hours, et cetera, are shown on the new home institution, you're in the clear there. The school should also be listed, like community college, United States Community College, right? If all that's there, you're in the clear. If it's not, like, because there's quite a few cases where the institution may just show that the credits were transferred. It'll say 33 credits transferred, GPA. Well, we'll need your transcript from that, from the community college or the other institution. Okay. All right. Great questions, everyone. Great questions all night. Hopefully I've been providing detailed explanations. I can be a little bit wordy and windy at times. All right, so 2025 Payne Fellowship Cycle next steps. First and foremost, if you haven't already, be sure to visit USAID's website and learn more about the agency at usaid.gov, and you can via /careers, and also about the fellowship at www.paynefellows.org. Some upcoming webinars that I absolutely advise you all to register for in advance of the application cycle close is on October 8th, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be a webinar titled Life as a Payne Fellow. There, we will have some of our Payne Fellows, alumni and current fellows, speak to their experiences, and you can ask them questions and learn a little bit more about, wow, what does this actually look like over the next, 2 years before starting your career with USAID. 2025 Barbershop Talk 3. This will be our third series. We've been doing one for, this will be the third cycle that we've done it for. Will be happening October 10th, 2025 2024 from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to be a closed-door conversation with some of our senior advisors, excuse me, alumni, and some USAID senior foreign service officers to speak about their experiences in being male in the foreign service, et cetera, there. Preparing for interviews. Now, this one, I absolutely advise all of you to participate in and to join. We'll be led and facilitated by our development diplomat and resident for the East Coast, USAID DDIR, Mrs. Penelope Thomas, excuse me, preparing for interviews. Again, that is October 15th, and that'll be from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure if you haven't done so already, because it will take around 7 to 10 business days usually for generation, complete your the current year FAFSA or upload the 2023-2024 FAFSA for those of you who have current students who might have already done it for the present academic year, and upload your financial aid summary or your student aid report immediately to your application. Again, that is a required section. Just as a reminder for those who have the financial aid summary, the questions in the financial details section may speak to the student aid report. All of the asterisk questions you are still required to answer to the best of your ability, and it is the advice of our staff that you answer the questions to completeness and as accurate as possible using the information that you have accessible for you to answer those questions. Monitor the submission of letters of recommendation by the deadline, again, because they don't want your letters of recommendations to hold you up. All pieces must be in by October 24th, okay? So, and lastly, be sure to submit all application materials by October 24th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have any questions, any additional questions, please be sure to email paynefellows@howard.edu. Again, here's our website, paynefellows.org, and be sure to apply if you have not already begun the application process at apply.paynefellows.org. Again, I'll be emailing the USAID Backstop resource out to all the registered attendees this evening, and then please allow us around 24 to 48 hours to get the recording from tonight's webinar up on the Payne Fellowship YouTube. Thank you all so much for joining, and I hope you found it extremely informative and the questions enlightening.